everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, September 25th, 2016. I think I'll start us out with a philosophical question this week. I believe it was Bob Dylan who originally posed this question, and it goes as such. How many flights of stairs must a woman fall down before she avoids stairs forever? Oh my goodness, I think we were asking a similar question 2 weeks ago. How many times can a man be blown up before we no longer cry at his funeral, a la Adam? Oh, the answer, my friends, is blowing in the wind. I mean, did anybody account for the whereabouts of Sharon at the time of Phyllis's accident this week? Maybe you should look into that one, Detective McAvoy. Oh, Lord. Jack is on a tear around town all week. I mean, starting from Monday, leading all the way up to Thursday, and the drama that happened on the stairwell at the Abbott Mansion at the tail end of Thursday's show. I mean, Jack is just letting everybody have it. Jill, Victor, Billy, of course, even the poor, well-meaning Winters clan is getting the brute force of Jack's fury. Everyone is on his hit list, but most of all, it really seems to be Phyllis. He feels betrayed by both Billy and Phyllis, but it seems like the more Phyllis opens her mouth and tries to explain, the worse it gets for her. Or I think maybe his realization of how deep the relationship was, how deep the affair went, and it just makes him more and more angry. Phyllis tries her very best to talk to him all week. I mean, she lays out her most heartfelt arguments. She has mea culpa written all over her face. She's doing the best that she can, but Jack is not going to forgive her this time. He tells her, I want you out of my life, and I want you out of my company too, as a matter of fact. He has her crap boxed and tossed out of the Jabot building. He's ready for her to be out of the Abbott Mansion. He is talking divorce. It all happened so quick. I almost thought maybe that Jack would flounder a little bit, that he would struggle with this decision a little bit, but no, not at all. He knows what he wants at this point, and it's to be done with Phyllis. Last week's poll question was, is there any hope for Jack and Phyllis's marriage? 82% of you guys said, no way. This marriage is over, and you may very well be right. I'm not sure at this point if there is any hope for them. I actually really liked Marianne's comment on this post on the website, where she says, if the affair had been with someone like Dylan, Stitch, Travis, or any other fill-in-the-blank non-Abbott family member, I could see Jack and Phyllis getting back together at Christmas tops. However, the fact that it was Billy is the deal breaker and the bigger grounds for divorce. I think that's probably true. I think that's a good way of thinking about it, because Jack and Phyllis's relationship very much could have weathered the storm. It's certainly at least more of a possibility if it had been anybody but his own brother. That's where it really stings for him. And I think, you know, additionally, it stings because it wasn't just a one-time thing. The more she tries to explain about how they were at the cabin, I mean, Phyllis tried to say, I broke it off with Billy, and Jack called her on it and said, oh, really? Where were you on the day that I was at Adam's memorial service? That was 3 days ago. And she had no choice but to admit she was at the cabin with Billy. So it's more than just one time. It's more than just sex. It was clearly something so much more. And I think that is where the real betrayal lies with Jack, and of course the fact that he was constantly searching for a way to make her happy, a way to help her get past any issues, and he was very much in a place of being willing to take the brunt of the blame for any problems in their relationship. And now that he's having this full realization of what was really going on behind his back, it probably is just a complete deal breaker. It's really clear to us at the audience, especially at the onset of the week, that Jack is making some major changes in his life, as evidenced by Wednesday's rock and roll intro for Jack Abbott. He's coming out of the elevator, walking into Chabot. He's got a new haircut. It's like shorter and more buzzed, and there's this guitar playing over the scene, and like realizing that this is a different kind of Jack Abbott than we've been seeing for a long time. He's decided to throw himself into his work at Chabot, and probably eventually into another like corporate play against Victor. But more so, I think Jack is just trying to focus his attention on anything and everything revenge. That is clearly where his mind is at this point. He even quits the Abbott Winters Foundation. I was shocked by that. He walks right in to this board meeting that he's called, and he declares, "Old Jack is back." Which I'm not gonna lie, I thought, yes. As terrible as he was to everybody all week, I was like, yes, at least this is something different from him. He's called this big dramatic meeting to let them know they can just take the Abbott name right off of the letterhead. Jack is no longer involved in this whole rehab facility, the whole philosophy behind it. Jack says, hey, I tried living on the straight and narrow path, and what did it get me? Absolutely nothing. It got me cheated on, it got me betrayed, and I've frankly lost faith in the idea of recovery. And by the way, this is no thanks in no small part to my good-for-nothing screw-up brother who had sex with my wife, and now everyone in the world knows about it, even though that part is pretty much his fault. But Jack is just decided that he's absolutely done, and he's telling everyone off in the room. I mean, these people did nothing to him, and he's declaring this whole new version of Jack, probably bigger and badder than before. He gets into this huge fight with Billy right there in Lily's office, which I am sorry, but I really liked it, and I really liked the way Billy didn't just sit back and take it. I mean, if you would almost kind of expect, knowing that Billy was in the wrong and slept with the man's wife, that Billy might be inclined to curl up in a little bit of a ball, and that he might do a little bit of mea culpa too. But Billy, in that scene and throughout the week, has really been non-apologetic about it, which I think speaks to this Billy and this version of him and his personality, and makes for a much more interesting story, if you ask me. If everybody was just like, oh, sorry and whiny and wimpy, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. I like that Billy is fighting back and saying to Jack, have you forgotten how you slept with my mother while she was still married to our father, Jack? I loved that Y&R actually brought that back into the story, because Jack is so incensed by the idea that his wife would have an affair on him again, when it is something that he's done. I mean, having sex with somebody with, having sex with your brother's wife is probably not even as bad as having sex with your father's wife. So I liked that Billy put that out there and smacked that into Jack's face a little bit. So it's just created so much drama, and I really think it's made for a very interesting week. Phyllis goes back to the mansion, and she's trying to wait for him. I mean, if anybody has got the desire for forgiveness and the desire to move on and mend and heal in this situation. It's Phyllis. She seems to know what she wants. She has decided that she wants to save her marriage with Jack. She wants to talk to him and try to make him understand. And she is begging him and pleading him for forgiveness when he comes home. She is making her case. She is on Jack like white on rice, not taking no for an answer. He's trying to get her to just leave him alone. Just go away. Fine. If forgiveness is what you want, I forgive you. Now, is that what you want to hear? Fine. Go. I forgive you, but it's not going to stop the fact that I'm going to divorce you. We are past a relationship. This is beyond repair. And Phyllis is just not accepting no for an answer. She's on him. She's physically grabbing him, trying to hold on to his arm as they're walking up the stairs. She doesn't want him to let go. And he's so, I just think, tired of her. And he's saying, let go of my arm. Let go of my arm. And he tries to physically shake her off of him. And what does she do? She ends up going tumbling down these stairs yet again. Oh Lord, I was immediately flashing to like, oh, the months of coma. I mean, are we getting ready for a recast or something again? Is she gonna be in a coma for years and then she's gonna come back as a different actress? How far in are we here? It was a real oh crap kind of moment for, I think, the viewers and especially for Jack. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't push her on purpose in the same way that Sharon didn't really push Phyllis on purpose, or that was always my interpretation of it anyway. But still, nonetheless, she's lying there unconscious at the bottom of the stairs, and it does not look good for Jack, especially since Billy walks right in and sees that she's there, and it does look fishy. I mean, it looks fishy to Billy. He immediately jumps on Jack like, what did you do? And Jack says, I would never hurt her. I mean, I didn't do anything. She fell. And Billy it's like, seems that he wants to believe his brother. I think he wants to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it looks fishy to Billy, and it certainly looks fishy to everyone else. This is splashed all over the news. This is the story du jour at GC Buzz. Everybody in town is reading about Phyllis's affair, and now all of a sudden we have a report of her unconscious at her ex-husband's house. It's tabloid fodder at its best. And not only that, but even the personal people in his life have been seeing him lash out all week. He's lashed out at anyone and everyone who's come into contact with him. People who knew about the affair, were involved in it, people who had nothing to do with the affair. Jack is just angry, and that rage, everyone saw it. And as a matter of fact, I think that violent outburst that he had with Billy last week did not help a bit. This makes Jack look bad. It makes him look bad to his friends, to his family, and to the public. Next week, we saw previews that he is going to be getting hounded by the media. There's this relentless reporter in town that is, I mean, he was asking Phyllis questions this week, and now he's going to be asking Jack questions next week. Hey, we heard that you beat up your wife. Phyllis is in the hospital. She was just coming out of it on Friday's show. She was unresponsive for parts of Thursday and most of Friday, and she's just now starting to flicker and open her eyes, and I'm dying to know what tale it is that she's gonna tell. What's gonna happen when Phyllis opens her eyes? Is she going to be completely lucid? Will she remember what happens? Will she wake up and defend Jack and stand by him? Will that bond them further together? Is there any chance that this will somehow unite them or something? Or is she even going to remember what happened? I mean, I think everybody, if you're watching this show right now, we're all thinking, please don't let her have amnesia. Oh, please don't let her have amnesia. And if she does have amnesia, who's right there at her bedside waiting to be her knight in shining armor? Billy. If she does happen to not remember, I'm afraid to know what kind of story he's going to feed into her mind. My brash, my sass. What? Oh, that wasn't a good take? Oh, sorry, let me try it again. My brash, my sassy. Oh, okay, you don't like the background here? All right, let me just try this one more time. My brash, my sassy. My Billy and Victoria can't get along on anything. They can't agree on anything having to do with brash and sassy. They're trying to film this commercial shoot this week, and it's like nothing is going right. I love that Victoria said that Billy's taste in the commercial and the background and the colors and everything couldn't be trusted. She says, "Did you see the color of his house?" Which Victoria loved the color of that house, as I recall, when she saw the remodel, and now all of a sudden it's not good enough and Billy has bad taste. But I thought that was kind of a funny line, and I wasn't gonna let that one pass. But if Billy and Victoria can't get along when it comes to work, they're sure as heck not gonna get along when it comes to raising their children. Victoria, okay, I understand. She does not want to have her kids thrust into the middle of this media circus. That's completely understandable. But at the same time, I don't think that she needs to be trying to keep Billy away from her kids. They need to be working on finding some kind of neutral ground or neutral space, even if it's just at her house, where she can still be you know, where she can still help facilitate the relationship between Billy and his kids. And I think Billy even said, yes, I'm a screw up. Yes, I did this really bad thing, but I'm still their father and I still want to see them. And I think that's completely reasonable and rational, and Victoria needs to be making inroads to try to at least keep the family feeling like a family. You don't want your kids to have to feel like daddy is a total and complete screw up, even if you think it's true. And Travis is right there up in the middle of it. I mean, he's trying to defend Victoria, and I do have to give him credit for that, but it's just creating more and more tension. Victoria she doesn't seem to want or need the knight in shining armor. In fact, she got kind of ticked off at Travis for trying to butt up in to the argument she was having with Billy, and I think rightfully so, to be honest with you. I understand Travis was coming from a good place, but at the same time, I think that it was something that was between Billy and Victoria, and she doesn't necessarily need just Travis's ball of testosterone getting up in there and making it personal and trying to mark his new territory when it comes to Victoria. So I was kind of proud of her, at least for pushing back on Travis in that way, because I don't necessarily think it was appropriate. But that doesn't mean that I don't love Victoria and Travis. In my mind, I think it's very sweet that he wants to defend her, that he wants to try to make this as easy on the kids as possible. And I can understand why he would not think that Billy is a good guy, a good influence. Billy's never been nice to him. I loved that Billy called him a bartender this week, and Travis had enough knowledge of history of Billy's life to say, didn't he own a bar at one point? I mean, this guy, he's coming around acting like I'm a lowlife because I owned a bar when he did the same thing. So I kind of do like the Billy and Travis rivalry with Victoria caught right in the middle. One of my absolute favorite moments of the week was Jill jogging. She's trying to catch Travis. She's jogging in the park, and she just so happens to bump into Travis. She just so happens to have 2 bottles of water attached to her fanny pack, and asks him him to sit down and share one of those bottles with him. It was just such a funny scene. And to see her subtly act like she has a job for him, that she wants him to do. Oh, it's got a great benefits package, lots of money. You're going to love this job, Travis. I could use someone like you. And he says, let me guess, it's in Hong Kong or something. Like, Travis he has this awareness that I really like. I think it's kind of a fresh writing angle. I mean, normally he might have taken something like that, or he might have kind of at least followed her lead a little bit, but I think it shows that Travis he's not just all testosterone. He's not all muscle and brute force. This guy is smart. He saw through Jill immediately, right down to the price tags that were still on her shoes. And it's yet another reason why he doesn't trust Billy, has no reason to trust Billy. He can see, like, this is his mother, and this is what she's done. She's gone out and she's faked this whole jogging thing and probably stalked him and followed him on his jogging route, which is creepy. And at least Travis saw right through it. I thought that was good. But I really kind of do worry about Victoria and Travis's relationship at this point, because I like them, but as soon as the Billy and Phyllis hurricane starts hitting, it starts to become a little, it starts to kind of almost split Victoria and Travis up, which is surprising considering they're so new in their relationship and they just are coming back together, seeming like they're just starting to get on the same page, and then Billy is such a sticking point. And I guess I can also see why Travis would just want to remove the sticking point. All Travis really wants, I think, is a relationship with Victoria, and Billy is a constant thorn in his side. Travis, honestly, even tries to move out. I mean, he's staying with Victoria temporarily, and he says, I need to get my own place if I'm going to stick around, so why don't I just leave your house? And they have this agreement. It's sort of left on a note of, well, I guess so. If you want to move out, move out. We're still together, though, right? They agree, and he goes home to pack his bags, and she suddenly decides, after a conversation, that she wants Travis to stay, that no, she doesn't want him to go, and she goes home and she convinces him to stay, and I was really happy about that, but it's just so much uncertainty for a new relationship. My question is this the normal trajectory for a new relationship when you're just kind of starting out and getting to know each other, or are we just already on way too choppy waters? Kevin started out the week asking tons of questions of Chloe about Bella's father, and he's trying to do a little research, and he's seeming like maybe he's going to pursue this and get to the bottom of this big paternity question that's on our minds. And then he decided to stop asking questions about Bella's father. I was so disappointed. I thought we were going to get somewhere. Once again, Kevin has all of the clues that he needs. He has all of the reasons in the world to suspect Chloe, and rather than suspecting Chloe and really questioning her and following his gut, he asked her out on a date. It's just, he's so blinded when it comes to her. Gosh, he puts on his best white jacket and gets ready for a date with Chloe. By the way, I was so annoyed that Faith somehow found out about the fact that there's this big date getting ready to happen, and she's accidentally kind of rubbing it in with Mariah. Mariah's trying to take her out for some ice cream, and Faith is just being her little, just Faithy self, and she's going on about Kevin and Chloe's big date. How can Faith know so much about Kevin and Chloe's business and not pick up on the fact that Mariah is obviously in love with him? Faith is pretty much the most perceptive child in the world, and yet she can't perceive Mariah's feelings and the fact that it was probably hurting Mariah to even have to hear all about it. I don't know. I thought the date was like both awkward and sweet. It was certainly less awkward than any of the dates that Kevin had with Mariah, but I mean it was sweet. I mean, he takes Chloe out for like fancy burgers and fries at the athletic club, and there's champagne, and in the end, Chloe stands up and, oh, she's feeling a little tipsy and falls into Kevin's arms, and they share a kiss at the very end of the Friday show and at the very end of their date. And I gotta know how you guys are feeling about this, because I'm not quite sure how to feel. So let's make that our poll question for the week. Are you rooting for Kevin and Chloe to get back together? YRChat.com if you'd like to cast your vote and leave comments on that. Because on the one hand, I think to myself, you know, they do have some chemistry. Watching Chloe and Kevin sitting across the table with one another, kind of laughing and being cheesy. I mean, that's appealing to me. I do remember feeling that Kevin and Chloe had a really good connection when they first got together. It was a sweet romance. And if we could pick it up and take it to a mutual and mature new level, I think I'd be for it. But then I just turn around and I think to myself, yeah, I don't buy it. There's a part of me that just doesn't buy it. I almost kind of enjoyed Mariah and Chelsea's girls' night, sitting on the couch eating ice cream, more than I enjoyed Kevin and Chloe's date, because I trust it more. I feel like, okay, here's Chelsea and Mariah actually being honest with one another, where there just feels like there's some sort of big old wall between Kevin and Chloe. But I'm open to your thoughts on this. Are you rooting for Kevin and Chloe to get back together? YRChat.com. I really want to get some comments and some votes on that this week. I feel like Chloe is leading Kevin on. Is it just me? Whether she knows it or not, I feel like she's leading Kevin on. She is preoccupied with Billy this week. In fact, it almost seems like she was ready to wriggle out of that date at the very last minute. Kevin and Chloe are practically ready to walk out the door, and Chloe wants to pull the cord on it if she can. Maybe we should just stay home and stay with the kids. You're fine with that, right, Kevin? Like, she's fine to have Kevin as her security blanket, but I don't know if she really feels like romantic about him. I don't even know why she agreed to the date when it seems like she's just thinking about Billy in the back of her mind. And she did talk to Chelsea a little bit this week after having seen the whole media mess that Billy's got himself into. Chloe is very quick to want to open up to Chelsea and talk about how she sympathizes with Billy, that Billy is someone who is always seen as a screw up, and ultimately he's not as bad as everybody thinks he is. He's a guy with a good heart. He has some problems, yes, but Chloe still thinks of him in the context of what a great father he was to Delia, which is interesting because she spent a lot of time really resenting Billy for leaving Delia in that car. And it's interesting that now things have changed and evolved so much to where she mostly just remembers Billy as a good father. And it seems pretty obvious to me that Chloe thinks that Billy is Bella's father, whether it's true or not. Let's crack open this Chatterbox and get to your comments, because I was flooded with them this week. Everybody has an opinion on Jack and Phyllis and Billy, and I loved it. I loved reading them all. Oh my goodness. Let's start with Henry. This week, Henry left me a voicemail, and he just had to say hats off to Peter Bergman this week. Henry says, Jack reminded me of my favorite movie, Tombstone, when Wyatt says, you tell them I'm coming and hell is coming with me. That is a really good summary of the Jack Abbott attitude all week. The personality change in Jack was sort of at the same time, it was so welcome to me. I was really, really happy about it. I mean, the rock and roll intro, it said everything that needed to be said. I've been waiting to get back to this Jack Abbott. It's just far more interesting. We've swung in such an incredibly different direction. I mean, the Jack of 2 weeks ago is polar opposite to the Jack of this week, and I don't know, I kind of love it. Jamie at yrchat.com says, I am loving Jack right now. Bummer he couldn't get this fired up in the immediate wake of the whole Marco mess. Jack's wimpy attitude toward Victor is what drove Phyllis to Billy in the first place. You know, that is a good point, Jamie. If Jack had kind of manned up and all of a sudden gotten that fury and that fire and pointed it in Victor's direction, would Phyllis have had the affair with Billy? I think that Victor also kind of pushed back on Jack this week when Jack confronted him and said, you seem to be forgetting some of the details around the edges of this issue. And I think that is a fair and valid point. If Jack had really taken a different path in the wake of the Marco stuff, it's certainly possible that none of this would have happened. So that's a fair point. Beatrice left me a voicemail and she says, I understand where Jack is coming from, but to lash out at everybody, the only two you need to be upset with are Phyllis and Billy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, watching Jack, especially for some reason, get really, really mad at Jill kind of bothered me this week. I mean, Jill obviously felt bad about what happened. I understood Jack's perspective, just like, you know, as Beatrice said, we all get where Jack is coming from, but I just really did feel bad when he was lashing out at Jill saying he was gonna get her. I mean, he was pretty much threatening Jill, saying, I can't believe your loyalty wasn't to me, you know, where was your loyalty to me? And I think it was a scene that really needed to happen because we as viewers know that they had that affair on John. So it was good to see the fallout of that. But at the same time, it's like, Jack, I mean, you know, you don't need to be mad at everybody. You don't need to necessarily go scorched earth. I mean, as a viewer, I loved watching it, no doubt about it. This is where I wanted my Jack to be right now. But just as a human being, I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you're kind of taking it out on people who don't deserve it. Shakanda on Facebook says, is it wrong for me to feel sorry for Billy? I know that he's on a self-destructive path and that he put himself on it, but I think it's because he's all alone. He doesn't have Victoria and he doesn't have Phyllis, and so to numb his loneliness, he's turning to alcohol once again. Yeah, Shakanda, you know, I think that's probably one of the strengths of this particular storyline is that everybody has a perspective. I do understand where Billy's coming from, and of course I understand where Jack and Phyllis are coming from too. I like when stories are not so black and white, when I can kind of put myself in the individual character's shoes and feel it. And you are right, Billy has unfortunately become very isolated from the people that he loves and knows, and he did it to himself. But he does need to probably reach out and get some help from someone. And I thought it was an interesting scene when Neil actually reached out to Billy. I wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, Neil all week was Mr. Recovery. There was some points where I'm like, Neil, okay, we get it, buddy. 12 steps. Like, he was pushing the program real hard. But I think that it's Neil coming off of his mother's death, knowing that she was an alcoholic. It's yet another example of the ways that alcohol can destroy your life, or that addiction can destroy your life. And it was really perceptive of Neil to not just pick up on the pain that Jack was going through. He did try to have a conversation with Jack and try to stop him from going down the same path that he went down when he found out that Hillary and Devon were having an affair, but to actually reach out to Billy, someone who he doesn't know, and to try to talk to him, I think was very big of Neil. I'm not sure that it necessarily did the good that it needs to do. I think that Billy needs to stop focusing on Phyllis so much. I think that this is unfortunately the addiction that has caused him to become wedged away from Jack, wedged away from Jill, wedged away from Victoria. I think Billy needs to find some other source of positivity in his life, and I don't necessarily know what that would be, but Billy's definitely got some healing to do. Gary left me a voicemail saying, smug, sanctimonious, and self-righteous. That's Jack Abbott for you. I had forgotten how he had become this way when he feels someone has betrayed him. We've seen it before. It can go on forever, and it can start to get annoying over time, Gary says. I think that that a lot of people actually felt that way. I mean, I think maybe people are falling into two camps on new Jack or old Jack, revised old new Jack, because there's the part of us as viewers that are like, all right, this is making a pretty good show. But yeah, smug, sanctimonious, and self-righteous, it all kind of came flooding back to me too, especially in the scenes with Victor. It's like, oh yeah, it's been years, it seems, since we've really seen Jack be that guy, and all of a sudden it comes flooding back at you and you realize, you know, it's good for a while, but it definitely can get grating on you, because Jack he can be like whiny and sappy. I mean, he's got a lot of negative character traits that have been pushed down for quite a while now, that maybe are just starting to bubble up to the surface. But I'm all for letting him rip for at least a couple weeks. That's just me. I know some people are like, forget Jack, but for me, I want to see this at least for a couple of weeks. Gary also mentioned something that I had noticed too, that on Wednesday's show, we got a preview of Friday's show, and it was really weird. Like on Wednesday at the, you know, with the coming attractions, Y&R showed us Phyllis being in the hospital and the reporter questioning Jack. And the weird thing was, it wasn't picked up on Thursday's show. So on Wednesday, I was thinking, oh no, that's going to happen on Thursday's show. I watched all of Thursday's show and didn't see that scene, and it wasn't until I think the very end of Friday's show that we saw that. And Gary had called in and asked, do we think that was a blooper? I wonder, is it something that Y&R maybe accidentally got their stuff messed up and gave us a wrong preview, or was that just like giving us a teaser, a taste, like stay tuned because we are going in a direction that you're not going to expect? Because frankly, I wasn't expecting Phyllis to fall down the stairs. I wasn't expecting Jack to be blamed for it. This was not at all where I thought we were going to be headed last week at this time. So I'm kind of curious to know that too. If anybody has any behind the scenes knowledge on that, it'd be kind of fun to hear it. Melissa at yrchat.com says, am I the only one who thinks that it cheeses up the show when they have a cliffhanger at the end of one episode and then they start with the next episode with the same scene, but it's blatantly obvious that they refilmed the scene? For example, they did it with the Phyllis falling down the stairs scene. I noticed that too, Melissa, because in the let's see, at the end of Thursday's show, the fall down the stairs happened, and then they refilmed it as a kind of a second take or an alternate take to open up Friday's show. And in the opener with Friday's show, Jack was far more vocal about let go of my arm, let go of my arm. It was just kind of, yeah, I think it is a little bit cheesy. They do it a lot. They definitely do that a lot for dramatic effect. I'm not sure why. Why do they bother? Why can't they just use the original scene? I'm not sure, but very good catch. Daisy on Facebook has a good theory. I had never thought of this. Daisy says, I wouldn't put it past Phyllis to pretend that she has memory loss just to get Jack and her marriage back, even if that lands Jack in jail. Well, until Phyllis can win him back, that is. I never would have thought of that, Daisy. I mean, I'm naturally assuming, just as a veteran soap opera viewer, that, oh, she's going to have amnesia. But I never thought about her actually faking the amnesia. I am on pins and needles to see what the first words that come out of Phyllis's mouth will be, presumably like Monday or Tuesday. Is she going to, like, who are we going to get? What kind of Phyllis are we going to get? Because we had a scene where Stitch was trying to provide care to Phyllis and talk to her and bring her out of it, and she was writhing around and saying Jack's name, and she was clearly very, very distressed. And Stitch, unfortunately, took that as Phyllis maybe unconsciously, I think, reliving possibly an argument that she had had with Jack, which prompts Stitch to go to Dylan and Paul, who have already questioned Jack. They're already suspicious of Jack, and Stitch has to tell them, I'm not so sure that this was an accident. So it's many, many signs pointing toward Jack did this on purpose. The only one who holds the key to the truth would be Phyllis. Nobody else saw it. Nobody else was there. Billy was only able to provide information up to the point that he saw through the window that Phyllis, they were arguing on the stairs and Phyllis fell. So Phyllis is really the one who holds the key to the truth here, and we'll see if she will reveal it. Anna left me a voicemail saying, you know, Ashley was right about herself. She's a busybody and she needs to mind her own business. I thought it was interesting, Anna, that Abby and Ashley had that conversation juxtaposed with all of the drama that was going on with Jack and Phyllis this week, because Ashley played such a major role in all of this coming out, and now she's realizing that it was kind of an oopsie moment, that Ashley probably means well, but she ends up just she had ended up causing harm by getting involved in this in the first place. I mean, you know, I will say there is some truth, I think, to the accusation that Ashley tends to side with Jack. It's clear that she's closer with Jack than she is with Billy. I think Ashley did make an effort to try to understand where Billy was coming from, but it's also black and white in Ashley's mind. How could you do this to your brother? How could you do this to Jack? How could you do this to our family? When, I mean, for crying out loud, Ashley has done plenty of stuff that, I mean, you could probably roll out a list of Ashley's dirty laundry too, but she does tend to kind of side with Jack, and she certainly is doing that now. She pretty much vows to Abby that she's going to stay out of all of this business from now on, but we know she's not going to sit idly by as the media is hounding Jack, accusing him of basically beating or abusing his wife in some way. You know Ashley's going to get up in that and try to at least help or mediate or something to be on Jack's side. And then you know she'll probably turn right around and find a way to turn to Stitch about the whole thing. It's like we're seeing Ashley sit there and say, ugh, I hate this is happening to my family. I should stay out of it. And, you know, I don't want to cause any more trouble. And you know she's going to end up sleeping with her daughter's husband. I really think it's foreshadowing that Ashley is sitting there talking about how bad it is that Billy has done this thing to destroy a family. And then I'm telling you, we could probably flash forward a couple of months and Ashley and Stitch are in bed together. Oh, Lord. Oh, really good comment here from Marianne again at yrchat.com saying, the best thing to come out of this week for me was reviving Michael and Phyllis's friendship. I also appreciated Nikki being supportive, since if nothing else, she's always been tolerant of Phyllis and would probably rather see Phyllis and Jack reunited over Phyllis back with Nick. I also enjoyed the Nick and Phyllis scenes. In some, Marianne says, Y&R needs to start exploring Phyllis's other relationships outside of Jack or Billy. I also want to see her more in business stories, since she was a shrewd character who I used to enjoy watching be the first character to solve mysteries or find relevant information. The old Phyllis would have solved the Sully parentage issue, just like she solved the faith switch with Ashley and Sharon. Yes, Marianne, you hit it on a couple of different levels. Let me start with the Michael and Phyllis conversation. I thought that was really good. Michael and Phyllis, much like Sharon and Adam that I've been going on about for the last 2 weeks, it was a really good friendship, a really good relationship that Y&R just really didn't pursue strongly when we had the recast. But I liked that Michael showed up for Phyllis this week and that she actually had someone who was a neutral party to talk to. And surprised, I was very surprised about the Nikki conversation too, because it was a little bit like Nikki got in her digs, but at the same time, Nikki was surprisingly supportive of Phyllis. She encouraged Phyllis to go and get back together with Jack to plead her case. Nikki had the gall to kind of relate the whole thing to her relationship with Victor, like saying, you know, I fought for my relationship with Victor and now we're doing great. You should do the same thing with Jack. I'm thinking, Nikki, I'm pretty sure you don't see your relationship with Victor in the same way that everybody else in the world sees your relationship with Victor. It's Victor's world, and Nikki just decides at different points whether or not she wants to exist in it. I hardly think that that qualifies Nikki for marriage counseling, for being a marriage counselor. But yes, and just moreover, I really do like Marianne's point about Phyllis maybe rising up out of the situation and being caught between Jack and Billy, and maybe just getting involved with, you know, with other things, other stories, other people. You could really say the same thing about both Jack and Billy. I mean, they've been marred in this triangle for quite a while, and it seems clear to me that I just don't think that Billy and Phyllis are going to be able to go off and have a clean, normal, happy, healthy relationship after all of this is said and done. No matter what, the family is broken over this. And no matter how hot Billy and Phyllis may very well be, and they do have some heat at times, I can't see Phyllis moving forward with Billy, and yet I can't see her going back with Jack. So I am only guessing that there must be some kind of third path, and maybe once all of the smoke has cleared, with, you know, like the media goes away and everybody starts to move on and get over the betrayal and the drama and everything, maybe we could pick back up on one of those relationships. But for now, yeah, I think you're right. Maybe Phyllis just needs a little something else. Hey, by the way, I did get a kick out of Victor enjoying every minute of Jack and Phyllis's misery and humiliation. Like, Victor is sitting at the ranch, listening to classical music, having a drink, looking at his tablet, seeing all of the drama that's going on with Jack and Phyllis, and just watching the circus roll through. It was funny. It was wrong of Victor. He's not a good guy. Not trying to defend him in any way, but it was kind of a funny little scene that I enjoyed. Can you believe he just sits there listening to classical music? That's so Victor. Oh, Katie on Facebook, I'm glad you mentioned this. Katie says, I understand that Summer is an adult, and I totally understand where she's coming from, but in my opinion, she has no right to lash out and talk to her mom like that. Yes, Phyllis was wrong, but you would think that Summer would realize she's getting an earful from Jack, and the last thing she needs is to hear it from her daughter. Katie, it is amazing how many people in this town have the nerve to be judgmental. I mean, Lily, for one. I mean, like, it just seemed like in the wake of everything that happened, and the media circus that surrounded it, everybody had an opinion. Everybody wanted to jump in and act like they had no sins, including Summer. But I will say, the thing that bothered me about Summer was that, you know, as Katie said, I understand she's an adult. Well, from my perspective watching it, I'm looking at Summer thinking she's acting like anything but an adult. It was so immature of Summer to immediately lash out at Phyllis and not really, it seemed like she was so judgmental toward her right off the bat, wanted to take Jack's side right off the bat. She was really quick to go see Jack, and ultimately Summer did offer her to talk to Jack on Phyllis's behalf, but I thought that, you know, Summer seemed very childish this week. Nick had to have a talk with her. He was like busting out some wisdom with her, which I thought was fabulous. He told her, look, you know, look, Supergirl, life is not a comic book. There doesn't always have to be a good guy and a bad guy. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, Nick is like, I don't even know when he got so wise, because that was good. That was a good line. It explained a lot about the situation. There's not always just a good guy and a bad guy. It isn't black and white. There is a lot of gray, and soap operas, and specifically YNR, this situation, many of the situations we've dealt with over the years, exist in that gray area. That's where the story is. If everything was just black and white, the show would not be interesting. And we wouldn't be wanting to chat about it. We chat in the gray area, and I liked that Nick brought that up to Summer, but I'm also thinking, like, how old is she? She's got to be early 20s, right? I mean, she was signing up for college courses, so we at least know that she's over 18 years old. And the way Nick was talking to her was like she was 15, 16 years old. Summer is immature. She's had everything handed to her. She's had no life experiences, no hard knocks. You would think growing up in this family that she might know a little bit more and be a little bit more world wise, but no. He was talking to her like she was a child, and it was on the appropriate level. That's the level that she's on. She's been married twice, for crying out loud, and she still needs daddy to explain to her that the world is not black and white. After what she's just been through with Luca, after what she went through with Austin, I'm sorry, but Summer was kind of a dumbass. Sorry. But the writing for Nick was really, really good. Nick is good right now. Nick is usually such an airhead, and for some reason, he is like the smart, strong Newman male that I never expected him to be. He was really good with Chelsea this week. I don't want to forget to mention that. He went to her and oddly had this great conversation with Sharon about it, then goes to Chelsea and says to her, look, I'm not trying to pressure you. I just care about you. I want to be here for you. And if you need anyone to talk to who's had way too much experience in pain and loss, then I'm here. Talk to me. Nick has just been through losing his wife, so he has something to offer Chelsea, and I thought it was great that he went there, with that olive branch and was able to smooth things out a little bit. Okay, Connor left me a voicemail this past week and said, I think that Bella's paternity is going to tie in to the Phyllis, Billy, Jack love triangle. Okay, if Phyllis and Billy do end up getting together and Billy is revealed to be the father of Bella, it is likely going to cause a war between Phyllis and Chloe. How is Billy and Chloe having a child together going to bond them, and would that end up maybe causing a fracture in Billy and Phyllis's relationship, causing Phyllis to feel stupid for leaving Jack? I think that's a really possible point. Chloe's child's paternity is most definitely gonna become a front burner story, whether it happens in the fall or they stretch it out into 2017. But I do wonder what the impact of it's going to be. I'm still wondering if Billy really even is the father. There's part of me that it's still like kind of in the back of my head that maybe it is Travis or something. I mean, it seems like there's got to be some other third explanation. I don't know. You know me, always looking for the red herring, but it certainly is possible that Billy's the father, and that, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe Billy and Chloe are going to get back together one of these days. But, excuse me, I really also like thinking back to what we were just saying about Nick and Chelsea. Tina Cole left me a comment at yrchat.com saying, since when is Chloe, Chelsea's little assistant who follows her around, answering for Chelsea and with Chelsea constantly, saying when it's okay? I am so glad you said that, Tina Cole, because I was thinking it too. Especially, like, Chloe is Chelsea's bouncer. Like, it's not okay that, no, Nick, sorry, you can't talk to Chelsea right now. Like, Chloe is obsessed with Chelsea. I'm telling you, I said it a couple weeks ago. It's got this weird single white female vibe going on. Like, Chloe wants to be Chelsea. Chloe's real happy now that Adam's out of the picture and she can just have her all to herself. She's loving being girlfriends. Just, it's almost like misery loves company. And I think that because Chloe lost something, she wants to hang around with Chelsea and commiserate with her because Chelsea has just lost something. But it is annoying the way that Chloe is always kind of yapping at everybody's feet like she's a guard dog or something, not wanting them to get near, wanting them to get near to Chelsea. One last comment, and it's from Daisy again, because I wanted to present this point of view about Victoria and Travis. Daisy on Facebook says, I thought that Victoria asking Travis to move in with her and her kids was so irresponsible. She just met this man. She doesn't know how he'll be around her children, and she doesn't really know what type of relationship they'll have since it's all so new. They could break up next week. I thought she was asking him to move in, though, to prove to herself that she was not still in love with Billy. Also, Travis kicking Billy out of Victoria's home, so ridiculous. It had nothing to do with him. Maybe the intensity of Billy and Victoria's argument gave Travis pause to want to kick Billy out because he sensed a spark between them. I wanted to make sure to present that point of view, Daisy, because it is really good. Because not everybody's on board with Victoria and Travis the way that I am. But I did sense that Travis is overstepping. It didn't bother me as much, I guess, that she asked him to move in, just because everything else on soap seems to move so quickly. But I like your point about Victoria trying to prove to herself that she's over Billy by moving forward with Travis. And I think there is something in the very front of Victoria's mind that knows that's a possibility. She did admit to Nikki that there's a part of her that always thought that Billy would kind of be there waiting for her, and now knowing that he was not only involved in this affair with Phyllis, but that it was an emotional affair too, did make her uncomfortable. And it was a result of that conversation that made her go back to Travis and talk to him and say, you know, I guess I kind of wasn't being totally honest with myself about everything that was going on with Billy. But it is kind of a rocky place to start a relationship. But thinking about, like, Connor saying, you know, talking about the paternity test results, I don't know, I almost kind of wonder if there's any chance that we're gonna see, like, I don't know why I keep wanting to shove Travis into the Chloe paternity thing, but I just do. Like, is there any chance that we're gonna see like a surprise triangle between Chloe and Billy and Travis? You and I are about as different as chalk and cheese. Well, I mean, there are so many characters on the show who are about as different as chalk and cheese. But it was actually Colin who said that line to Jack last week during the whole bag o' money scene. They were trying to relate to one another, yet Colin wanted to acknowledge that they're pretty different guys. I thought more people would have caught that. I don't know why that line just, it gonged on me. But only, I think, 5 people got that one right. So I have to give extra special congratulations to Edith, Henry, Sharita, Ellen, and Melissa of Melissa and Nancy. Congratulations, you guys, for catching that little line. Now, I've got another food-related quote for you this week, I guess. I must be hungry this week or something, because I realized that last week and this week's Who Said It quote are food-related. So here we go. Do you know who said this? My life is just a bowl of cherries right now. I've always liked that idea of life is a bowl of cherries. I mean, they could probably go with something like, if you're gonna create a quote, it could be something like my life is a bowl of candy right now. I don't know why specifically cherries, but I like the visual, I like the line, and I thought it was a funny moment this week on YNR. So did you catch it? Did you hear who said my life is just a bowl of cherries right now? If so, you can go to yrchat.com. You'll see on the website where you can leave your guess, and if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's chat. All right, I think that's a wrap. Brash, sassy, my brash, my sassy. Cut. That'll be our why in our chat for the week. I will not continue to do takes. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, enjoyed our chat. I love hearing from you. It's my favorite part, so don't be shy. whyourchat.com is probably the very best place to leave comments because you can interact with each other too. So go there if you want to sound off on any of the stories. Vote in the poll. Get your guess in for the Who Said It. See the photo caption. I love your photo captions. Every week I do a screenshot of something funny that, I don't know, just pops up on my screen and I cap it. And then you guys have been giving me some really funny caption quotes for those too. So those are fun for me to read as well. So there's always a little bit of something going on at whyourchat.com. You can, from there, also, of course, find YouTube and Facebook, and feel free to leave comments there too. I read every single comment, and even if I don't read every single comment at the end of the chat, I absolutely get them all, including the voicemails. The voicemail number is 309-588-4569 if you'd like to leave me a voice comment. You can also go to genoacitysoap.com if you want to see the YNR themed soap bars. I've gotten a couple of emails this week from giveaway winner and from just a couple people who have gotten their bars in the mail, and everybody seems really happy, and that makes me happy too. So I'm glad to see you guys are enjoying the soap and that you're enjoying our soap, and I hope you come back next week to chat again about it. I love you guys, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye!